When we talk about relationships, attraction, and emotional connection, one of the most powerful feelings a woman can experience is longing, the sense of truly missing someone. But here's the truth: you can't force someone to miss you. You can, however, create the right environment where she feels your absence deeply and values your presence more than ever. Missing someone is not about manipulation. It's about psychology, emotional depth, and the way you show up in her life. Let's break this down into 6 educational keynotes that explain how to make any woman miss you badly. 1. Space creates value. Human psychology works on contrast. We only value what we don't always have unlimited access to. If you are constantly available, constantly texting, constantly showing up, she will start to take you for granted. But when you give space, you create curiosity. That pause makes her wonder about you. It doesn't mean ignoring her or playing childish games. It means allowing distance so that your presence becomes meaningful. Think of it like music. Silence between the notes is what makes the melody powerful. 2. Emotional imprint matters more than words. A woman won't miss you because of how often you text, "I miss you." She'll miss you when you've left her with unforgettable emotions. Did you make her laugh when she needed it? Did you make her feel safe when she was scared? Did you inspire her to dream bigger? That emotional imprint is what stays with her when you're not around. She won't crave the routine conversation. She will crave how you made her feel. 3. Be unpredictably interesting. One of the strongest triggers of missing someone is curiosity. If she already knows everything about you, what you'll say and what you'll do, there's no excitement left. But when you keep some mystery, when you surprise her with your growth, when you have new stories, skills, and perspectives to share, she will want more of you. The unpredictability keeps her mind engaged even in your absence. She won't just miss you, she'll miss discovering more about you. 4. Build your own life outside her. A man with no life of his own is easy to forget. But a man who is busy building himself, working on his career, fitness, passions, social circle, becomes magnetic. Why? Because when you are not always available, you create scarcity. Scarcity increases value. She starts to miss your attention because she realizes it is precious, not guaranteed. Remember, when your world doesn't revolve around her, she feels the weight of your absence much more deeply. 5. Leave with positive energy, not conflict. This is a psychological trick few people understand. If every time you part ways it's after a fight or heavy tension, she won't miss you, she'll feel relief. But if you leave her after a moment of laughter, affection, or deep connection, her brain will crave that feeling again. It's called the peak end rule in psychology. People remember the peak of an experience and how it ended. Always end interactions on a note that makes her heart warm, not heavy. 6. Consistency in character, not in availability. Finally, what makes a woman truly miss you is trust. She needs to know you are not playing games with her emotions. Be consistent in your values, in your respect, in the way you treat her. But don't be constantly available. That balance, where she knows you are reliable but not clingy, creates the perfect formula for her to miss you in a healthy, powerful way. Light bulb conclusion: to make a woman miss you badly, don't chase, don't beg, don't play shallow games. Instead, focus on becoming a man who leaves an emotional impact, a man with depth, and a man whose presence feels like a gift. When you do this, your absence will echo, your silence will speak louder than words, and she will crave your return, not because you manipulated her, but because you became unforgettable. Would you like me to now expand each keynote into a full 405, 100-word section, like a full seminar-style lecture, or keep it at this concise speech level? You said expand the 1 keynote without headings and intro of keynote up to 500 words. ChatGPT said, when it comes to making a woman miss you, the first and most important thing to understand is that space creates value. This principle is deeply rooted in human psychology. We don't crave what is always available to us. because when something is constantly within reach, our brain normalizes it. It becomes ordinary, routine, and eventually loses its specialness. Think about your favorite meal. If you had it every single day, at some point you would stop appreciating it. You wouldn't enjoy it the same way, even though you once loved it. The same applies to relationships. If you are always present, always calling, always texting, always showing up, there is no room for her to miss you because there is no absence to feel. This doesn't mean disappearing or ignoring her, but it does mean finding a healthy balance between closeness and independence. When you are constantly in her space, her mind never gets the chance to wonder about you, curiosity dies, and with it, excitement fades. On the other hand, when you create space, you trigger a powerful psychological response. She begins to notice the silence. She begins to think about what you might be doing, who you might be with, or what's happening in your world. That curiosity quickly turns into longing, because the brain naturally values what is not always accessible. Now, some men mistake this principle and turn it into a manipulative game, suddenly cutting off communication, disappearing for days, or intentionally ignoring her. That's not what creates healthy longing. That just creates insecurity and resentment. Real value comes when you balance your presence with meaningful absence. It's about giving her your best when you're together, and then stepping back enough to let that presence echo when you're apart. Think of it like a song. It's not just the notes that make it powerful, it's the silence between them that gives the music depth. Without the pause, the song would feel chaotic. Similarly, without space, your presence loses impact. Space also communicates confidence. A man who is not afraid to give space shows that he trusts the bond, that he is secure enough in himself not to cling. Clinginess signals fear of loss, while balance signals strength. Women deeply respect men who are not desperate for constant validation. By giving her room, you not only allow her to feel your absence, but you also demonstrate that you are a man with his own life, his own focus, and his own sense of purpose. That alone makes her think about you more. When you understand this principle, you stop chasing and start attracting. You don't overwhelm her with constant presence. Instead, you allow her to crave it. Space creates value because it transforms presence from something ordinary into something rare, and human beings are wired to desire rarity. When you become rare in the right way, not by withdrawing love, but by balancing it with space, she won't just enjoy you when you're around, she will ache for you when you're not. Do you want me to expand the second keynote in the same style now? You said, expand the two. Keynote without headings and intro of keynote, up to 500 words, ChatGPT said. When we talk about making a woman truly miss you, it's not the number of times you tell her I miss you that matters, it's the emotional imprint you leave behind. Human beings are wired to remember feelings more than facts. A woman will not hold on to every word you said or every detail of your conversations, but she will never forget how you made her feel when she was with you. That is what comes back to her mind in your absence. If she associates you with laughter, comfort, inspiration, or safety, those emotions replay in her memory when you're not around, and she finds herself longing for you without even realizing it. Think of the relationships in your own life. The people you miss the most are not necessarily the ones who talked to you the most or were around you the longest. They are the ones who left you with powerful emotions. The same principle applies here. When you engage with a woman, ask yourself, are you just filling the space with casual words, or are you creating moments that will stay with her? A random text may fade quickly from her memory, but a moment where you really listened to her when she was struggling, or where you made her laugh so hard she forgot her problems, those moments live. Inside her, the human brain ties memory to emotion. When strong emotions are triggered, the brain marks those experiences as important. That's why someone who made you feel deeply is so hard to forget. If you want a woman to miss you, focus less on impressing her with surface-level charm and more on building experiences that touch her emotionally. It could be something simple, like encouraging her when she doubts herself, or sharing a perspective that opens her mind in a new way. It could even be the warmth of your presence when she felt vulnerable. Those little imprints turn into powerful anchors in her memory. This is why consistency is key. If you only bring emotional value occasionally, and the rest of the time you are indifferent or careless, the impact weakens. But if time after time your interactions leave her feeling uplifted, safe, or inspired, she will associate you with that energy. When you're not there, her mind will naturally crave the return of those feelings. She won't just say, "I miss him." She'll feel, "I miss how I feel when I'm with him." That distinction is everything. It's also important to recognize that negative emotional imprints can have the opposite effect. If every interaction is heavy with arguments, stress, or disappointment, she won't miss you. She'll feel relieved when you're not around. So the goal is not just to leave an emotional mark, but to leave a positive one. When you consistently add value to her emotional world, you plant a seed that grows even in your absence. That is the essence of being unforgettable, and that is what makes her miss you on a deep, lasting level. Do you want me to expand the third keynote in the same way next? You said, expand the 3. Keynote without headings and intro of keynote up to 500 words, ChatGPT said. One of the strongest reasons a woman begins to miss a man is because he carries an element of unpredictability and excitement that keeps her mind engaged even when he is not around. Human beings are naturally drawn to mystery and discovery. If everything about you is predictable, if she knows exactly what you will say, how you will act, and how you will respond in every situation, her mind stops being curious about you. Familiarity may bring comfort, but curiosity brings longing. When she never fully knows what to expect, when there is always a little more to uncover about you, she will find herself thinking about you in your absence, wondering what you might do next. That curiosity turns into missing you. This doesn't mean you have to play games or be deceptive. Unpredictable interest comes from growth, variety, and depth in who you are. If you are constantly working on yourself, learning new skills, exploring new hobbies, meeting new people, and developing your personality, you automatically bring new energy into your interactions. Each time she talks to you or sees you, she experiences a fresh side of you. That freshness keeps her mind stimulated. Instead of feeling like she has fully figured you out, she realizes there's always more to discover, and that makes her crave your presence even more. Imagine 2 scenarios. In the first, a man repeats the same stories, talks about the same routine, has no new passions, and gives the same predictable responses every day. In the second, a man tells her about the book he just finished, the skill he's practicing, the experience he had with friends, or the new perspective he has gained. Which man do you think will linger in her thoughts? The one who feels like a living adventure, not the one who feels like a stagnant routine. A woman misses what sparks her curiosity, what challenges her mind, and what excites her imagination. This unpredictability also adds emotional intensity. When you occasionally surprise her with something thoughtful, when you take her somewhere unexpected, or when you share a side of yourself she hasn't seen before, you break the cycle of monotony. She begins to realize that with you, no moment feels dull or lifeless. Even when you are apart, her memory replays the excitement of those moments, and her heart longs for more of them. Missing you becomes natural because her brain has learned to associate your presence with stimulation and novelty. But it's important to strike balance here. Unpredictability should come from growth and depth, not from instability or mixed signals. If your unpredictability comes in the form of being unreliable, confusing, or inconsistent in your respect, then instead of missing you, she will feel frustrated by you. The goal is not to create anxiety, but to create curiosity. Be solid in your character while allowing your actions and experiences to constantly evolve. That way, she feels both safe and excited with you, and that combination is rare. When you embody it, she doesn't just miss you when you're gone. She deeply longs for your return because she knows there's always more of you to uncover. Do you want me to expand the fourth keynote in the same style now? You said, expand the four. Keynote without headings and intro of keynote, up to 500 words, ChatGPT said. A man who wants a woman to miss him has to understand that his life cannot and should not revolve entirely around her. When a man has no passions, no drive, no goals, and no identity outside of the relationship, he becomes easy to forget. There is nothing magnetic about someone who is always available with nothing else occupying his time. On the other hand, when a man is busy building his own life, pursuing his career, improving his health, spending time with his friends, developing his passions, he naturally becomes more valuable. His time and attention are not something she can take for granted because she knows they are not endlessly available. That sense of scarcity automatically raises the value of his presence. Scarcity is a powerful principle in psychology. People desire what they cannot have all the time. When she sees that you are focused on your own growth, she realizes that your attention is not guaranteed. It's something special, something earned. And when you do give her your time, it feels precious because it came from a man who is clearly dedicated to more than just sitting around waiting for her call. That is what makes her miss you. She knows that being in your presence is not ordinary, it's a privilege. Building your own life also makes you more attractive in the long run. Women are naturally drawn to men who have ambition and purpose. If she sees you constantly working on your goals, moving forward, and becoming better, she will respect you more. Respect turns into admiration, and admiration fuels desire. When you're not around, she won't just think of you as the man she spends time with. She will think of you as the man who inspires her. That emotional association makes her crave your presence even more deeply. Another important factor is energy. A man who lives a full life brings fresh energy into every interaction. He has stories to share, experiences to talk about, and perspectives to offer. Compare this with a man whose entire existence is focused on her. His conversations will eventually feel empty and repetitive because he has nothing new to contribute. A man who grows outside the relationship makes the relationship itself richer, and when he steps away, that richness is missed. But this doesn't mean you should neglect her or act unavailable just for the sake of it. Balance is key. You show her she is important by giving her quality time, but you also show her you are important by giving yourself quality time. When you master that balance, she will never feel like you are ignoring her, but she will notice and feel your absence when you are gone. And that is what missing someone really means. She doesn't miss men who cling or hover because they never give her the chance to feel space. She misses the man who inspires her, challenges her, and then steps back to focus on his own path. That man becomes unforgettable. Shall I go ahead and expand the fifth keynote for you in the same detailed way? You said, expand the 5. Keynote without headings and intro of keynote, up to 500 words, ChatGPT said. One of the most overlooked yet powerful ways to make a woman miss you is to pay attention to the emotional tone of your partings. Many men don't realize how important the last moments of interaction are. If every time you leave her, the moment is filled with tension, unresolved conflict, or negativity, she won't long for your presence when you're gone. Instead, she will feel a sense of relief as though she has been freed from stress. But when you consistently leave her on a high note, smiling, laughing, or feeling emotionally safe, her mind will hold onto that memory. She will find herself replaying it, wishing she could experience it again, and that's exactly what creates longing. Psychologists call this the peak end rule. It means people judge experiences not by their entire length, but by the peak moments and by how the experience ended. In relationships, this principle is especially powerful. A woman might spend hours with you, but what she remembers most vividly is how you made her feel in the strongest moment, and what emotional state she was left in when you parted ways. If you leave her with warmth, joy, or comfort, those feelings echo in her mind. When you are gone, she begins to miss not just you, but the emotional state you gave her. This doesn't mean you need to orchestrate grand gestures every time you leave. In fact, it is often the small things that matter most. A playful comment, a hug that lingers, a look that communicates care, or even just ending the night with words that uplift her can become emotional anchors. These simple moments create a powerful contrast when you're absent. Her brain begins to crave the positivity you bring because your presence has been paired with emotional reward. That craving is what we describe as missing someone. On the flip side, it's easy to fall into the trap of letting stress or frustration dominate the goodbye moments. Sometimes people argue before leaving, or they part ways while distracted, cold, or dismissive. What happens then? The association becomes negative. Instead of longing for you, she feels lighter when you are not there. That is the exact opposite of what you want. To make someone miss you, you need to ensure that your presence is linked with positive emotional impact. When your absence arrives, she feels the loss of that positivity, and the desire to have it back grows stronger. Another layer to this is intentionality. When you walk away, even if it's temporary, be mindful of what impression you're leaving behind. A man who ends interactions thoughtfully is remembered with fondness. Over time, this builds a pattern in her subconscious. When she thinks of you, she doesn't think of conflict or indifference. She thinks of warmth, connection, and the desire for more. That is the real art of making her miss you, leaving her with a taste of something she wants to return to again and again. Do you want me to now expand the 6th keynote in the same detailed style? You said, expand the 6th keynote without headings and intro of keynote, up to 500 words, ChatGPT said. What makes a woman truly miss you is not constant availability, but consistency in your character. Many men confuse being consistent with being always present, always texting, and always showing up on demand. While that may seem like dedication, it often leads to being taken for granted. Real consistency is not about how often you are there, but about how solid and reliable you are in the way you treat her, in your values, and in the stability of your personality. When a woman knows she can trust who you are, even if you are not physically there all the time, she feels secure enough to long for you rather than question your intentions. Trust is the foundation of longing. A woman cannot miss you if she doubts your character. If your attention is unpredictable, if you shift between affection and indifference, she will associate your absence with anxiety, not desire. But when you show up in a steady way, respectful, kind, and consistent in the energy you bring, she feels grounded in the connection. That grounding allows her to relax into missing you instead of worrying about you. She knows that even if you are not always available, you are not going anywhere. That balance of security and space is what makes your absence powerful instead of painful. This kind of consistency also separates you from the men who play games. Some men think they can make a woman miss them by suddenly pulling away, withholding attention, or being intentionally confusing. While this might create temporary tension, it doesn't create healthy longing. It builds distrust, and distrust always kills attraction over time. A woman doesn't miss games, she misses authenticity. If she knows you are genuine, if she knows your words and actions align, then your absence is felt as a gap, not as manipulation. Another aspect of consistency is self-respect. A man who holds to his values, who doesn't compromise his integrity to please others, builds an aura of strength. Women are drawn to this stability because it signals reliability. Even when you are not around, she thinks of you as someone she can count on. That respect deepens emotional attachment, and the deeper the attachment, the stronger the sense of missing you becomes. She doesn't just miss your presence. She misses the sense of safety and clarity your presence gives her. It is also important to highlight that consistency doesn't mean monotony. You can be consistent in your character while still being dynamic in your actions. For example, you can be consistently kind while still surprising her with thoughtfulness. You can be consistently respectful while still showing new layers of yourself. The steadiness is in your principles, not in being predictable with your availability. That's the distinction that creates balance. In the end, what makes a woman miss you badly is knowing that you are not going to disappear emotionally, even when you step away physically. Your absence doesn't mean abandonment, it means space. Your presence doesn't mean clinginess, it means quality. That reliability combined with limited availability is the formula. When you embody it, you stop being just another man in her life and become the man she can't forget, the one she longs for when he is not there, because his character is steady, his value is rare, and his presence feels irreplaceable. Do you want me to now combine all 6 expanded keynotes into one long, seamless Sadia Khan style full speech for you? You said, give me conclusion of entire speech, ChatGPT said. The truth about making a woman miss you badly is that it has nothing to do with tricks, games, or manipulation. It's about becoming a man whose presence leaves a lasting impact and whose absence carries weight. When you understand how space creates value, when you leave her with emotions that linger, when you bring unpredictability through growth and depth, when you build your own life outside of her, when you walk away on a positive note, and when you remain consistent in your character, you create a bond that is not easily forgotten. A woman does not miss a man simply because he's gone. She misses the way he makes her feel, the security he provides, the energy he brings, and the inspiration he leaves behind. In the end, your goal should not be to make her miss you through fear of loss, but through the memory of value. You want her to feel that your presence is a gift and your absence is a silence that cannot be filled by anyone else. That is the essence of true connection, not desperate chasing, not emotional games, but becoming a man so rare in character, so steady in values, and so rich in presence that missing you is the most natural response to your absence. When you embody this, you no longer have to try to make her miss you. She simply will, deeply, consistently, and willingly.